What's going on, traders? In this video, I'm going to break down a simple VWAP strategy. This could be a great starting point if you're a beginner. We'll go over some of the very basic criteria for entry, how we're going to structure our trades, manage them, and backtest this bad boy live. I'm going to throw trading view in replay mode, use the random number generator. We're going to select a random month and go day by day backtesting this. Let's hop right on the charts. I'm going to do this in Zoom, so if you're looking for super duper fancy editing and things to keep you entertained, this probably isn't the video for you. But when I used to watch videos, I liked when people did things 100% random. So I knew they weren't just going to a day where they knew it was going to happen and then backtest it and, kind of just play it forward and simulate this great strategy. Before we get started on here, guys, I trade live on YouTube almost every day, 100% free, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. No course, no VIP to be trading live with me. I do use VWAP in my trading. I trade ES, which we're going to be backtesting here. Not quite everything, but more than happy to have you on there. I also run a 100% free trading Discord. More than happy to have you in there. You could be asking me questions about this video, chatting it up with almost 2,000 members if you'd like. We got mindsets, we got P&Ls being thrown in, people doing well, people struggling, everything in between. Talk about the schedule that we got coming up for the live sessions, news every dang day. More than happy to have you in there. I will link it right here. Now, let's go ahead and grab a random number generator. I'm going to do this so I can go to 9:30 a.m. Eastern every day and just keep the back testing forward. You can hit random in trading view, but it brings you to random times. So we're at 1 through 12 on here to pick the month of the year. And then I'm going to go to the start of that month and we'll back test. Maybe we'll do a week or two or see if we can't get some results together that makes sense. So I'll click this 3 times. 1, 2, 3. We get 9. That's going to be September. Let's go ahead and see if we can go back to September of last year. So we got trading view in replay mode. We're on the 5-minute chart. We're going to go back in time and I'm going to break down what the heck we're doing here. Oh, that's random bar. Sorry. Select date. We are going to the start of September of last year. We're going to go to 9:30 a.m. Let's talk about this strategy, what we're going to do, what we're going to backtest here. For this approach, we're only going to be using price and VWAP. That's it. We're going to backtest the exact same times every day. We're going to use the same instrument on the same time frame, just one time frame. Here's what we're looking for. Here's the basics of this entire approach. This is it. Because we're simple, we're beginners, we don't know enough, right? We need to start to backtest something to gain some experience. And this is not 100% rules-based objective, meaning I'm applying some discretion, which I think I'm a believer of personally, right? In my opinion, that you need to apply if you want to actually start to make some money trading. If it was just as simple as coding everything into a bot or an EA and just allowing that to do it, and we could buy that approach strategy for $50, we wouldn't have to do any of this stuff. But I don't think that's the case. So you got to build some experience, some discretion, some implicit memory on in the markets, and that comes from backtesting, forward testing, trading live primarily. So we got a VWAP on the chart and we have price. Here's going to be situation number 1. We are trending to the upside. What are we considering a trend to the upside? We are putting in higher highs and higher lows, and we are above the VWAP line here. The complete opposite is going to be true if we are below VWAP. Maybe VWAP is starting to slope to the downside, and we are putting in lower highs and lower lows. We're going to consider this a downtrend. If we are in a downtrend, we are going to be looking for shorts. If we are in an uptrend, higher highs, higher lows, right, getting put in. Above VWAP, we are going to be looking for longs. Simple as that. That's our first filter. Longs above VWAP, shorts below VWAP. Okay? Sounds great. When the heck are we actually entering the trades and how are we entering them? Let's say for this example, we are above VWAP, right? We're waiting for 9:30 to open. We're scrolling back a little bit to see what happened back over here. Are we just selling off super harshly? Well, maybe we want to be a little bit cautious, but we're above VWAP here at the open, right, for NYSE session. We're looking above. When are we actually hitting the buy and sell button? We are waiting for a pull back down to VWAP. This is going to be the simple entry criteria for this. We are waiting for VWAP to get tapped by price, and then we are looking for a bullish 5-minute candle. Specifically, a bullish 5-minute candle that is closing above VWAP, okay? We want at least one. Here's our little bullish 5-minute candle. Terrible drawing there. We are looking for at least VWAP to get hit, and then a 5-minute candle, bullish, right? Green. In my chart, it's going to be white. That's closing back above VWAP. Where does our stop loss and take profit go? We are going to look to go at very least, 10 points below the low that's put in here. Oh, let me back that up. Let's go with at least discretionary, a 10-point stop loss total, but we have to be below the low that's put in. So this is going to look differently on the chart, and it's probably just going to be easier to look at it together. So we're going to say a 10-point stop minimum here on ES, end below the low, and let's say at least below the low by 2 points. So that means we're going to have a wider than 10-point stop in certain cases to get 2 points below the low, and at least a 10-point stop in total, okay? So sometimes we're going to be way below that low by having the minimum 10-point stop. Sometimes we're just going to be 2 points below the low, and we're going to have a wider, maybe a 15-point stop in total based on where that 5-minute candle closes. Okay, so we selected the correct date, right? Yep, we are 9:30 on Monday, September 2nd. Random backtest starting off. So how are we looking on this one? We are opening up above VWAP. Okay, we are going to look for a pullback down towards VWAP on the 5-minute chart, and a bullish candle to close above VWAP. Let's see what we get. And here's why are we showing still nighttime here where the market's not open? This is weird. Oh, sorry guys. This is how you know I'm doing the deal in real time. Well, we missed this nice opportunity here. And let's say we can't claim it, but we can see how it played out. I'm looking at this kind of like bluish dark gray, which is usually for when the market is closed. Here's what this trade would have looked like, right? We set a minimum 10-point stop, and we're going to go 1-to-1. Didn't even say that. We're going 1-to-1. 10-point stop, but I'm focusing on entry and stop loss placement. Here's what the trade looked like, right? Push to the upside above VWAP, pull back down. We got a bullish 5-minute bar right here. Bullish meaning it's white instead of gray. Green is white for me. Gray is red. I just like nice monotone candles. On the VWAP line, our volume weighted average price pushing to the upside. That would have been a W. Unfortunately, we didn't get to take it. Let's go ahead and go to day 2 and just say, well, we missed that one. You don't get credit for it. Let's see what we get on day 2. We're good. And this is how I would backtest this, right? Going day by day. And guys, this isn't end all be all, right? This probably isn't 100% enough. Maybe you want to enter, other levels in here. Maybe you want to use volume. You want to use something else. But I think this can be a starting point, right? A good starting point for beginners. Wow, on this day we get just a sell-off. We don't get a trade setup, right? We don't touch VWAP. We get nothing. Maybe we get a pullback later in the day. Nope, we get nothing on this one. No entry. Okay, so far we're one missed trade because we weren't paying attention, and we are no entry. Okay, let me go ahead and I'll actually speed this up a little bit by doing this. Again, guys, this takes a little bit to do, but this is how you know we're backtesting, without just cheating, right? And this is how I would encourage you to backtest something like this. So this is a little tricky. It's a little tricky, right? Today we got an open really right at VWAP. Well, we are opening up above VWAP. Let's see what this first candle looks like. Huge bullish candle. Okay, so cool. We're going to wait for a pullback down and then a 5-minute nice bullish bar. We blast off at the open. Ooh. Okay. We're missing entries here because I'm playing it forward too fast. But let's just use the position tool, okay? We'll say forget the buy and sell button. We're just going to use the position tool. What would this trade have looked like? We said we're buying at the close of the first bullish bar after a tap of VWAP. It's this bad boy right here, okay? We set a stop loss at least 2 points below the low. That'd be right about 24.25, about 26.25, and we're going 1-to-1, okay? Let's play this one forward, see how this bad boy plays out. We push to the upside. Ooh, we get a tap of VWAP again, but we come back down. Maybe we're taking an L on this one. We are taking an L on this one, right? Okay, so we're 1 win, 1 loss. That's where we're playing out for so far. Let's go ahead and continue to play this bad boy forward. And for simplicity, since we started with position tools, we'll just use the position tools. We'll backtest this a little bit, and I'll talk a little bit more about what you can expect. Choppy, right? Really choppy so far. Let's see how we open up, and if we are getting really any trends. So we were opening really at VWAP, so I'm not going to say that this is an entry because we weren't above VWAP or below VWAP. We were kind of at VWAP. So we say, okay, well, we don't know what the trend is. Now we're pushing the upside. We're waiting for a pullback down and waiting for a bullish bar. There's our pullback down. There's our bullish bar, right? We're going to use our position tool. We said minimum 10-point stop, but we got to be down below that low by at least a couple points. In this case, a couple points, 9 is going to be 11. It's going to be right here. 1-to-1. And we keep playing this bad boy forward. That one ends up being the W, right? Sorry, let me drag that back over. That one ends up being a W. Nice. One loss, 2 wins. Let's keep playing it forward. Let's do a couple more days, just kind of see what this looks like. And again, I'll kind of just talk as we're doing this. I don't think this is enough, right? I don't think this is an end-all, be-all. My approach on here isn't to say, this is all you have to do. This is the exact strategy. I'm just giving you a starting point and trying to show you that trading doesn't have to be extremely complex. I made it very complex starting out, and I did nothing more than lose money, okay? I think if you start with a 1-to-1, right? A 1-to-1, and you consider random market conditions, which we know we don't have 100% of the time, and there are things like fees and commissions and spreads that eat into it. But at a 1-to-1 entering randomly, like just a random person hitting the button, buy or sell, flipping a coin, you should be around break even. Yes, you're going to lose money over time because of all the things we just discussed, but in random market conditions where they don't exist, at a 1-to-1, stop loss and take profit without touching it, you're right around break even. Most people, we know, traders are losing money. Their equity curve is a straight slope down. So if you can get near that break even point to start, and then maybe use simple things like trying to identify a trend and using a simple tool like volume weighted average price to help you, maybe you can find a good way to enter. You can find a little bit better of an entry spot and to structure risk. Because that's all we're doing here. This doesn't have massive predictive power. This isn't going to tell us what's going to happen next. We're still going to take losses, but maybe we're going to try to shift the odds in our favor a little bit, right? And as we continue, maybe we notice that, hey, every trade that we take that's a W actually continues to at least, let's say, 1.25 risk to reward. It continues a little bit farther. And if we enter every trade with a 1.25, making 0.25 more when we're right versus when we're wrong, we can also help shift the odds in our favor, right? Maybe you say, a number of other things, trade management that you want to enter on. Maybe you want to clarify the entry itself. But this could be a starting point. That was close, but not quite it, right? We're gonna stay true to our strategy. Okay, we got a bearish bar that tapped it, and now we don't have a bullish bar yet. We're looking for the first bullish bar closing back above VWAP. If we get one, we don't. We just start to sell off. Okay, no trade, right? And this is going to be our entry criteria, keeping us out of a bad trade. If we just entered here and we tapped VWAP on the 5-minute. We don't have an entry. So now maybe we say, hey, this is trending to the downside. VWAP sloping down. We are really pushing lower, breaking below lows. We're looking for a short on a pullback up to VWAP, which maybe we don't get. Doesn't look like we get. I didn't want to play it too fast because I've missed a couple of entries. Let's see. Nope, day ends. We're on to the next day. No trade. Kept ourselves out of a losing trade. We're on to the next week, 9:30, right? We're trading a 1-to-1, and we're at 2 wins, 1 loss. Let's see if we can rack up a couple more wins, kind of just see how this plays out. And you can say, wow, Zach gave me a perfect strategy. I never have to do any work on. No, you have to find things that work for you. Okay, so we get a tap. There we go. We get a tap of VWAP, and we get our first close back above, right? Without really just blasting lower because, if we do this, like I said, if we do this completely, we're not looking long on the first buy back above, right? Now we got a downtrend, we're looking short. So turning to the upside, right? We're pushing to the upside, looking good. We come back down to VWAP. We close right here. And here's our entry, right? We said minimum 10-point stop or below whatever the low is by at least 2 points. We get that here with actually just the 10-point. We play this bad boy forward. Okay, now we're 2 for 2. We're 2 for 2. We start to break down lower. Let's see if this comes back up. Nope, it doesn't. There we go. Let's see what this second entry might look like, right? We didn't continue to just blast lower and form a downtrend, right? We chopped around VWAP. Let's say, you know what? I want to backtest that one. I'm sorry, hang on. Actually, let's leave this one as the loss. Here was our L, right? 10-point stop, 10-point take profit. Let's see what this one looks like. We take another buy on this because we get another close back above without really continuing to the downside. We go 2 points down below. We go with a 1-to-1. We play this next one forward because we're here collecting data, right? We're backtesting. We want to see. Nice. We got a W out of that one, right? You might have to clarify, well, when am I taking buys versus when am I taking sells? Maybe how far we get down below VWAP. Maybe time that we get down below VWAP, right? Again, just want to kind of show you how you can continue to backtest this strategy. And you can trade it all day, right? You can say, okay, I want to trade it again, right? We pull back down. Let's see. That's our loss, W. Let's see what this one looks like. This would have been our entry, right? Maybe we got to take another L over here. Yeah. Taking an L over here, right? Because we entered on the close of that 5-minute candle. Maybe you say, hey, 10 points is not enough. Oh, not yet. But it looks like we're going to. Hey, 10 points is not enough. Oh, we didn't. Not yet. Haha, took a W on that one. Let's see. Would that actually have been a W before we claim it? That's the close. That's our 10-point stop. And we made it all the way to our 10-point take profit. So, again, maybe it's not 10 points. Maybe you say, hey, Zach, you're backtesting this thing a year ago. We're way more volatile, right? I need a 12-point stop. So the purpose of videos like this is not to say, here's an end-all, be-all, plug and play. If it was that easy, we'd all just be millionaires, right? It's not. But I want to give the basics of how you could try to keep things extremely simple and how you can apply some consistency with the most basic rules, right? We're discretionary on what the trend actually is, right? Because you might say, nah, man, that's a downtrend and I'm looking short here. We can apply some basic entry criteria, waiting for the close of a candle, some basic trade management where we're not touching it at all before take profit and stop loss. But you can adjust. You can adjust for what you see fit. So Monday, let's do like 2 more days and we'll call it we'll wrap it up. I think that's not enough data at all to say, hey, this is great, but maybe enough to entice you to take a look at VWAP, to take a look at keeping things stupidly simple with your trading. We're back above VWAP. We're looking for a pullback down. We're waiting for a candle to close. We get absolutely ripped through. This one is probably an L. There's probably an L in here somewhere. For me, maybe you kept yourself out of a losing trade. Let's say we took multiple trades here, right? Like what could have been a loss? This could have been a loss right here, right? With a 10-point stop or 2 points down below this candle. That could have been like L number 1. And then like we said before, maybe we're looking for that trend to shift and for us to pull back up and get a close below. Maybe you took an entry right here, short, right? On that close right there with a 10-point stop, and that could have been an L. Maybe that looked crazy to you, but you say, okay, we started to break down below here. I'm waiting for a short entry over here. Maybe you took something that's a W over here. This one's not as clear, but let's say at least we ended like 1 down. Let's take that one. I'm trying to be fair with this. Let's continue on. And again, maybe you wait the first 15 minutes. You say, hey, the first couple minutes of this are absolutely crazy. We don't have an entry here. Now we're back down below price. We're looking for a short. Maybe you say, hey, the first 30 minutes of the market are absolutely crazy. I only want to take trades after the first 15 or 30 minutes. This would have been an entry. Right. We're breaking to the downside. We're pushing the downside. We enter right at the close of this 5-minute candle. We enter right here. 10-point stop allows us to get above the high by 2 points, doesn't it? Oh, no, we got to go a little bit higher. So 8.5, 9.5, 10.5. And here's our 1-to-1, right? Because I'm just sticking consistent with what we talked about. There'd be a W for you, right? See how that one continues. Maybe there's a second entry where you say, hey, I wait for a strong break above and a bullish move back above VWAP, that type of stuff. So you can see how this one could start to shift in your favor. Maybe we do like one more day just to take another W. Take another W with you guys. Simple VWAP bounce trading setup. Again, I think a couple things to like consider adding into this. Maybe key levels. You mark out prior day high, prior day low, right? Maybe you look at waiting the first 15 minutes because you find there's a lot of volatility in those first 15 minutes and you don't want to risk getting stopped out. You want to wait for that trend to start to continue. I think that could be helpful. There we go. We got another W on this one. Let's make sure we got it right. 10-point stop, 10-point target. We waited for, what did we wait to happen here, right? We're down, opening up down below VWAP. We waited for price to get hit. That's close to a bearish bar, but it's technically not. If we zoom in, it's not. Here's our first bearish bar. Wait for that to close. 10-point stop, 10-point target. We took another W. Again, this isn't end all be all. This isn't some magic strategy. This isn't some magic approach, right? But you can see we're making money over time here. Not a crazy amount, but we're just shifting the odds a little bit in our favor. And I think if you continue to backtest just this, maybe you're at least ending close to break even. And we know that that is far better than what most traders are doing. Maybe you start, which is what I would say you have to do. Track this, and you start to identify things. Hey, I get cooked if I enter in the first 10 minutes on that second or third candle. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to create another qualifier here, right? Another filter. Maybe you say, hey, dude, 10 points just in general is not enough for me. Maybe you say 2 points past the high is not enough for me. Maybe you say, I don't want to wait for a candle close. Maybe you manage your trades differently. You go stop loss to break even once it gets halfway to the take profit. A million different small things that you could start to do. Like we talked about the risk to reward, right? Maybe we don't want to shoot for this 1-to-1 because we notice that every dang one is making it to a 1.5-to-1, right? If we get cooked, we get cooked on a short. If we, if we make it into profit, like here we didn't, right? Here we didn't make it to a 1.5-to-1. Maybe we made it to 1.2-to-1, right? But you take a look through, you collect data, and you decide, okay, if we're going to take a W, how many of these make it to a 1.5-to-1 versus not making it to a 1.5-to-1? That one did, this one did over here. Maybe maybe you're shooting for a really aggressive risk to reward and a really low win rate, right? Million things you can start to improve based on something super simple. But I would start, if you have no direction, I think this could be a decent spot to start. Maybe you don't use any indicator at all. There's no VWAP. You're just using trend. I think the basics of what we're doing here and what I wish, I really started to do off the beginning was keep things very, very simple, basic, so they can be repeatable. So you can apply some consistency to the market and keep your structuring of risk and your trades the same, right? If you're doing something completely random and different every single day, how can you possibly expect to have consistent results? Keep your stuff simple so you can focus on actually executing, which is the difficult part here. Keep it repeatable, consistent. Track what you're doing and improve over time. What's not working so well? Let me do a little bit less of that. What's working? Let me do a little bit more of that. That's literally how simple this stuff can be. This does not mean it's easy. And we're just talking about strategy here and trade management and entries and exits. We're not talking about the very difficult part, which I talk about in a lot of my other videos, which is the confidence and the mindset and psychology to actually be able to execute. That's when where we really start to have issues, right? We have something that works great in backtesting, works great in demo, right? Like we're doing right here. Then what happens? We go to the live market conditions, we get absolutely cooked, straight shot to the downside on our P&L. Why? We're not entering when we need to enter. We're holding our losses all the way to stop loss, but we're never holding our winners. We are not closing our winners. We're entering, chasing trades, tilt, all this stuff that comes in, right? So the purpose of these videos also is not to oversimplify things, to say, here's all you got to do, and you can make a ton of money, and it's just as easy as this. No, right? This stuff takes a lot of time to build confidence in a strategy, to build, something that provides some kind of measurable edge for yourself. And then to actually be able to execute it is the big piece, right? I talk about it in other videos, but I wanted to break down some really simple stuff. I was thinking back on some of my early trading where I had 1,000 indicators on the chart and I was making things way more complicated than they need to be. And if I just started at a 1-to-1 and I had some basic criteria for entry and I tracked what I was doing, it would give me some data to start to improve and shift the odds in my favor. And I could at least focus on doing something that's consistent and repeatable day in and day out. And then when I came over to the live market, we put a small amount of money on the line, maybe with a prop firm or a live account, I could be able to see where that all goes wrong and then focus on that piece next. Hope this helps, guys. If you want to watch me trade live almost every damn day, I do it 9:30 a.m. Eastern and oftentimes for Power Hour now. Quick disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't provide financial advice. Nothing I say or do is a suggestion or recommendation to do anything. Trading's risky. If you trade, you're probably going to lose all of your money. You're probably never going to make money. Certainly not for a long period of time. Do your own research. Make your own trading decisions. Read CFTC Rule 4.41 on simulated trading, which is what I do even in funded prop firm accounts, and the affiliate and partnership disclaimer that says I stand to make money from links and codes in my content. Talk to you guys soon. Hope to see you trading live and in my free Discord.